Hello, 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 hello. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to whatever this is. I'm your host, Schizoid, and I'm here to talk about some nonsense that's in my head regarding this topic that I think is of import. Now, all this stuff that I say is my opinion on a variety of things. I am not a therapist. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I am a person that has been dealing with schizoid personality disorder for its entire life, to well, the majority of my life, I'd assume, and the issues that led up to it. And I'd like to talk about this subject. So that is what I do. For those that care, updates on myself, nothing really. It's the same stuff. Been getting a lot of weird nausea. I don't know if it's medication related, but whatever. I think it's an electrolyte deficiency or something, but I've been fixing that one. Okay, so let me get started. So I put a question, by the way, in the poll. It's not direct. I mean, it's kind of related to what I'm going to talk about, but not like it's not exactly what I'm going to talk about. All right. So what did I use as a title? That's right. Using complexity and nuance to create a Mobius strip of inaction and resignation. Did I put resignation or resignment? I don't know. I can't read the title. In any case, it's one thing I've been wanting to do more on the streams is kind of talk about trends and stuff that I'll see either on the Schizoid Reddit, or I'll see on the server, or I'll see just all over the internet, even Facebook groups, that are supposed to be for that, and discussing it or asking questions and so on, or having back and forths about this or that, like in chats and so on. One thing I've noticed quite a bit, and it kind of makes sense why it happens, is that many schizoids will use the complexity or the nuance of how things are and how they exist in order to sort of circumvent any hope of action having any positive consequence. So I think the reason this is, and it makes a lot of sense, is because many of our actions growing up, your adolescence and beyond, have always felt like they don't have a positive influence or mechanism that gets implemented regarding our own individual lives. And I think the manner in which we view the world is oftentimes very pessimistic. And due to this, a combination of that particular type of issue and trauma and the pessimism that comes with it, you end up kind of knee-jerking into a position in which nothing ever changes, nothing will ever work, everything will always be terrible and the same, because it was always terrible and the same. And it could be for like really, really big topics, like, the human condition, or it could be something really simple about trying to change a law, or trying to change an idea regarding something that's like there's already a lot of preconceived notions, or trying to fix a problem of some kind, or somebody saying, oh, this problem should be fixed. These are some ideas for what could happen or could be done. And then you will get like paragraphs of people explaining why it can't be done. And I always found that really odd, but it's very common. No explanations or actual willingness a lot of the time to engage with how it can be done, what obstacles are there, and so on. Because I think when something, and here's another point I think it's connected to, I think when something requires a lot of people to do it, the schizoid can't imagine themselves being able to do that, being a part of something that requires a lot of people to do it. So if it's something that's beyond the scope of them being able to do it, they oftentimes sort of, I don't know if you would say it, but it's almost like a learned helplessness. Like they project this sort of like, it's never going to change because people are people and people will never change. And that's why I stay away from people. So thus anything that requires people coming together to do something won't change because people don't do that because people are bad. People don't do good things. People do selfish things. People do things that ultimately don't accomplish anything for some greater good, or so on and so forth, right? There'll be all these kind of negative ideas about human beings because of various reasons that I'm not going to get into again, and then it gets projected onto like activities that would require a significant amount of people to make a change to it. And again, this is my opinion. I'm just trying to piece together why it's such a common occurrence, why I see so many very intelligent schizoids constantly finding a way to make something that's really difficult sound improbable, impossible, and that being a reason why they choose in it. No, my daughter, hold on. She scared me. 1 sec. Okay. That is the first time she's ever that is the first time she's ever managed to sneak up on me. Like, that was the first time my daughter was able to sneak up on me. She's getting better. Because, like, usually I'll hear the door open behind me, or I'll see the light come in, but I guess the light was off this time, or she turned it off. And then she very, very slowly crept in here at some point and scared the shit out of me. If you heard her, I'm sure you heard her. Yeah, total sneak attack from that girl. She's learning. Anyway, so that I can try to get back on what I was talking about. Yeah, I'll see conversations devolve into that, right? It'll be like, oh, don't you understand how complicated this thing is? And then they'll like explain how complicated it might be, and then that's the reason it's not going to do anything. And again, I'm just trying to piece together, like I said, why it's happening. I've seen it happen so many goddamn times, so many times. And then sometimes when people will try to engage with what solutions or what types of efforts it would require, there's kind of a disinterest in that, because it would require people to do anything about it, because you by yourself can't do shit when it comes to something of that nature, something of a bigger nature, right? And you already feel like you can't do shit regarding your own life sometimes. I'm not saying every Zoid out there, but a lot of Zoids describe it that way. Like they're in some prison, like, trapped in like a world of people that make no sense to them, right? And so when you feel like that, when you feel like you don't really have any like allies or people that make sense, not even allies, just people that make sense, that can make sense of what you have going on for you internally, when you try to communicate your priorities, your interests, your takes on stuff that are often, the terms I like are idiosyncratic or autistic thinking. Those are like words that are both associated with schizoids. And so then there's like this, they have like sometimes very thorough explanations as to why that thing will never get better. But it's almost as if they never actually bothered thinking about how it could, because if it requires a lot of effort to make it happen, and other people, it's almost like it's written off as something they can't take part in, wouldn't be heard, even if it's something that aligns with something they believe in. But I just find it interesting that like I mean that this issue might be connected to the schizoid stuff, and then there's this sort of like constant limiting factor, right? So then instead of saying I in particular am not in a position to be able to do anything about it because of my issues, no matter how much I care about it, they say that it can't be done at all. Do you think it may be related to inflated sense of self a lot of schizoids have? Like community efforts beneath impossible? No, that's goofy. Schizoids don't look at community efforts as beneath them. It's more like I can't be a part of a community because I don't get any reward, or I don't get anything out of being connected to generally single individuals, much less a community of people. And so then there's all this kind of alien stuff going on that just is not going to work, right? And it just won't, and there's no way to make it work. Oftentimes in the schizoid mind. And I'm of the type that says like, no, it can work. It's just really fucking hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort for any individual. And it's a lot more about understanding how community functions than necessarily being like a pure part of it in the way that other people have to be, or generally are. Not have to be, but just generally are. In some senses, it does require some masking. Masking is draining, and masking is tough, but just because something's tough and draining is not impossible. The world is always changing, just not the way I want it to. Well, there you go. Like, then pick a spot, pick a niche, do something, right? And oftentimes, even if I like approach somebody with like, okay, let's talk about what can be done, like what can you do locally that you care about, and it's just raw. There's always like this pile of reasons, and I'm not saying they're excuses necessarily, because they kind of are, but they're very well thought out excuses. I think that's the way I want to put it. I feel like schizoids come up with very intellectualized, very well thought out reasons for why they shouldn't attempt to change anything. Sometimes about their own life, oftentimes about even the local world around them. And I'm not stupid enough to be like, well, just get off your ass and do it. That's what I do to myself. It takes its toll. But I think what's missing is some kind of like, obviously support system of people that are actually mutually interested in making that effort. And if you focus on the effort itself and less on the difficulties of attempting to participate in such a community, then you keep your eye on the ball, and the effort or the strain that it comes with will be worth it, because it'll actually have some sense of meaning that can build up inside of you. Like there's a lot of stuff that I do not like about this. Having this channel, trying to network, constantly getting either ignored or just whatever, getting like what's the word, baited, getting into like thinking they're interested, and then they like switch or change their mind for whatever reason, because they probably found something more interesting or that'll make them money or something, and so on. And it's hard, it's vicious, it makes me really pessimistic, it depresses me. Sometimes it causes me anxiety out of the sheer desperation of it, but I keep doing it. And it's because when I do get something successful to occur, it's meaningful. Like, it actually feels like real, like inside me real. Like it feels like this is what I chose for my life, as limiting as it oftentimes is. And not very many things give me that sense. So the things that do, I'm going to work hard for, and I'm going to, sacrifice a little bit of sanity in the process. Now, I'm not saying everyone should just go out there and be some kind of advocate. But if there's like a cause, join it, try, even if it's like full of people that you can't connect to. You might be surprised, but also you might be surprised how many like people even say on the server that deal with these same issues that you can maybe communicate something with. Even 2 or 3 or 4 different Zoids that are willing to work together can create stuff. Can create stuff and be like kind of realistic about it and so on. Get my hair all crazy. So intellect can get in the way because the smarter you are, the more problems you see. But if we took cycling as an example, no amount of intellect will help you learn how to ride. Well, yeah, in many ways. Finding the objective or goal worth obtaining is my point of contention. Well, yeah, that's part of the search, right? And what's interesting is that you already have, I believe that most schizoids already have something of a rudimentary understanding of what that could be, because all they have to do is search the system of ethics and morals they've established for themselves and built for themselves as they navigated this incredibly confusing and oftentimes vicious world. They had to survive and make sense of it all. And through that process, they often build this like kind of system of ethics, even if they are using what they believe to be entirely cognitive empathy to do so. Somewhere in that, there are actions that can be taken. There are activities that can be joined. There are things that can be done alongside others that are doing them for the sake of the thing. Not for the sake of wanting to be a part of a community. Not for the sake of trying to make friends with the people that you likely won't be able to connect with or will make sense to you. No, for the sake of the thing itself. David Cote, I don't know, man. I have a big problem with anything that's desire related. It simply doesn't exist. You're on here watching my stream right now. Something motivated that. I don't know what it is. Even if it's boredom, you could have chosen anything. So something's motivating that. So desire is there. Hell, the desire to want more desire is a desire. So, like, for example, I want more people that have this issue to have more desire. To have that feeling. To have a sense of meaning and desire for things. What's up, Bootnoot? I want, and so I'm trying to do something that could hopefully improve the schizoid's ability to desire and to find things find meaning in things. And I'm not just talking about meaning in people. What's funny is that like a lot of the emphasis seems to be on the social when it comes to schizoids, and I get why, obviously, but people often forget that the schizoid doesn't just have issues finding connection to people. They have a lot of issues connecting to anything, oftentimes external, and sometimes a lot of the internal as well. I struggle with anhedonia, so most things do die short. Well, I think most Zoids do struggle with anhedonia for sure. I've discussed that a bunch of different times. There are ways to weaponize it, but it requires a lot of just wherewithal, I guess. That's what's so that's what's interesting, because I think a lot of schizoids have put in effort, but I think they put the effort in all the wrong places, and so at some point they got burnt out trying. All this stuff I'm talking about, I did it all. Like, I've done that, all of that. I did that for a large portion of my life. I can now, in retrospect, see the very emotionally sensitive aspects that led to that. But I still live in a world that feels disjointed and sick often, and disturbing in many ways. But I found something in which I can do my part, as small as it is. And it takes a lot of people to create any kind of significant waves in anything, right? But even if, like, say I fail completely to I don't know, get a bunch, because this is something I work on constantly, trying to get a bunch of, like, professors and academics that wrote articles in this, and they're in different countries, and so I have to, like, I tried, I even, oh god, I even signed up the LinkedIn the premium thing. I did the free trial, because it's like $60 a month, which is crazy, but if it actually snags me some people, it'll be worth it. Because, man, I tried every other avenue. I even did some, like, reading on how to properly, like just to make sure I'm, like, doing a good job at being professional with my language and everything when it comes to communicating with somebody in that field or that sort of thing. And yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's been a tough time. So many people that, like, say, oh, maybe next year, maybe this, maybe that. And it's just, like, doesn't really culminate into much. Eleanor Greenberg, shout out. Yeah, that lady is a saint. He is a saint. But in any case, I diverted completely. Oh yeah, so that's my goal, to increase. Oh yeah, if I fail to get these people, that's what I was saying. Even if I fail, but if I manage to inspire a handful of Zoids to do something about this, to find desire, to find meaning through the various ways that I've talked about, through the various types of support that could be available, that's good. I it's not good enough for me, but that's great. I don't know how to, I don't know how I would send $100 to Eleanor. I don't know what that means. Eleanor's always really busy. Like, that's the thing. Eleanor's busy as hell. She's busy. She's in her 70s. She's busy. And I'll hit her. She'll hit me up. She'll be like, hey, I want to do something. And I'll be like, sure. And she's like, I'm just always busy. I'm like, yeah. And she doesn't have, like, a lot of energy. She's in her 70s. But she's in her 70s. And she's busy. And she's still made the time in the past. That's what's wild. But anyway, yeah, even if I fail in that part, I like knowing that I could successfully change something inside a few Zoids that could do, they could do the same for others in some way or another, whether it's you know, on the server or in the real life, or even if they, like, you know, do something with it and then just completely, like, you know, lose all interest in this whole schizoid type advocacy thing and don't give a shit or something. Like, it's still, like, it's still a W. It's still a W. It's still a W. Not the W I want, but it's a W. It's not all L's, people. I'm telling you, it's not all L's out there. And you don't have to strive for the W's that other people want or expect to get. You might have to do them as a means, as a stepping stone to enact what you actually end up finding you give a shit about. But yeah, I'm seeing Zoids contact me, telling me they like, you know, after this many years, after this long, I found the thing that like was connected to me, and that I don't have to detach from, that I can actually like anchor myself into. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's fucking amazing. What is your ideal schizoid community and schizoid people? Okay, ideally, it would be, here, I'll just, this is like a completely like ridiculous notion, but I'm still doing it, right? Like that's the whole point. Like, when I think about it, it's just so much context and so much bullshit that it's just impossible. It feels impossible. But I don't give a fuck, because I just ignore how impossible it feels, and I still do it anyway. Because I know how it feels isn't necessarily conducive of what reality is, or could be. So anyway, because if everyone goes, it's impossible, it's too big, then nothing gets done anyway, so who cares? But I don't want to be a part of the nothing gets done. I want to be a part of the, I'll be a part of the tried and died before I want to be a part of the nothing gets done, and then I just live my life, or some, you know, shit like that. That's not going to cut it for me. But as far as outcomes, it's easy. Okay. So, and it's just really like minimized, right? It's like, obviously there's multiple layers and all this shit. Schizoids watch your channel. Schizoids join the server. Schizoids keep watching the channel or don't watch the channel. That's not the point. Schizoids start finding relatability and connection on the server, because it's like the largest Zoid. I like to call it more like an autonomous collective. I think that's more comfortable. Oh, my hair's all, that's why it's doing that. It's all crazy. Anyway, it's more like an autonomous collective, so that's a more comfortable way of putting it for a lot of people. But what I'm hoping is they connect, and then through that they realize, oh, there are people in the world that I can connect to and I can be friends with, and don't have strings attached and obligations that I don't place on others and they won't place on me. And thus that creates like, oh my gosh, hold on. I swear to God, man. I don't know how. Normally that doesn't happen a second time, but I guess at some point she like decided because mommy didn't give her what she wanted. She's like, I'm gonna go ask daddy. I don't give a fuck what he's doing. That's what she did. But anyway, okay, I'll continue. So that happens. The connection now connection is possible. Now connection is not verboten. It's not like impossible. Now they start realizing, oh wait, I can work with other people. I can have these things with other people. It's just that maybe it requires people that are oftentimes pretty odd themselves, pretty outsider or off the beaten path themselves, to put it like really, what's the word? Understatement, like a wild understatement on that. But and then they go through that process, And then that turns into, oh, I can do that with things as well. They're an external. The external world has reason. There's things to hope for, even if ultimately, like, there's still so much that feels hopeless, right? And then they start implementing that emotion, that feeling of connectivity onto other aspects of the world, and then themselves. And then they start figuring out parts of their identity that have essentially been like stuffed away due to a variety of dissociation, attachment type stuff, into that, you know, as I like to refer to, like almost that inner child type thing, that's buried under all those piles of rubble. Now you have help. Now you have help to remove the rubble and then find the source of where that little personality that you had that basically got muffled over the course of your life, that will allow you to find the desire, to find what can give you a sense of meaning, right? And then through that process, you start recovering from a lot of the issues that involve the schizoid disorder. Because you start essentially doing a form of, like, I don't know if it'd be like, it's like a weird, complicated form of CBT, but you start making connections between your thoughts and positions about people in the world and why certain aspects or assumptions are incorrect, why certain aspects and assumptions are correct, and why you were not able to do what other people generally do for so long. And it's not all your fault because you were too traumatized, but because the world is not a place that it's easy for someone that's of a neurodivergent kind like this to be able to find that connection, especially within their own family, oftentimes even. No, it doesn't take 20 years. That's goofy. It doesn't take 20 years. I made I made a lot of improvements regarding all that stuff with myself over the course of about 2 years, 2.5 years. And that was without like a proper guidebook of any kind. That was without having anything available to me that, besides the literature that already exists, and it's lacking, to say the least. It's lacking in a variety of ways. They do the same. So I found the things that help a lot, and then I want to talk about the things, and then I want people to try to do the things. And the things are difficult. The things are sometimes involve hardship. The things involve certain types of therapy you can try, right? I've been saying, like, for me, I found EMDR pretty successful, and finding a psychologist that's actually like not going to try to tell you that you're staying away from people because you're afraid of being rejected, right? Find a psychologist like that. Do some more tough, sometimes very tough kinds of therapeutic styles and things. Just straight up CBT ain't gonna do shit. Like old school CBT, maybe even DBT, it's not gonna do much. You need something a little more radical, a little more out there, and they need to be able to work with you and your out there ass. And if you can find that, combine it with the other stuff, help other people that are dealing with it. And when you make when you find like a foothold, yeah, when you find a foothold yourself in your journey to figure this shit out, don't just climb and leave everything behind. No, practice what you found to be good and put it out there, because then someone else will find it to be good. Maybe not all, But they'll find it and they'll do the same and the same and the same. And now there's a lot of footholds. Now there's a lot of rocks to grab onto as you climb up this, mountain of just resistance your own, sense of self has created for you. So who better to trust to create these kind of footholds on how to figure this shit out than the very people that are dealing with it? Because obviously the way that the therapeutic community is approaching it is severely lacking. So we got to do it ourselves. They're not doing it. So I DIY'd a lot of what helped me. And I didn't just construct it out of my own internal experience. No. I've been piecing this stuff together and constructing out of the experiences I've just fucking reading, from people, from everything, seeing, watching other YouTubers that talk about this stuff, fucking reading stuff all over the server, looking at the Schizoid Reddit, fucking reading all of that shit is what allowed me to find things that worked. I'm 40. Nothing worked until now. So to me, that's like, wow, holy shit. That's crazy. Right? It's a big fucking deal to me. So to me, I go, well, I'm doing everything from self-help to therapy to philosophy to spirituality to all kinds of shit. Looking for something, and none of it tapped into me, right? And so when it happened, when it's working, it's just what the fuck? No, yeah. Withers, it's 20 years of doing the wrong things. So, and then I did 3 years of the right things. And it's working. Well, that's because a lot of the people on the server, the ones that talk are usually the ones that are well, they're not the lurkers, right? I want the lurkers to speak so badly. There's so many fucking lurkers in there. I want them to say stuff. I want them to talk about what might have worked, what they tried and didn't work, and exchange ideas. I want to see that. Yeah, I know. That's the whole point. You feel hopeless. Yeah. Yeah, well, just, I like to say to myself, fuck feeling hopeless. I feel it. It consumes me sometimes, but I gotta just rip out of it as much as I can. Dude, no, not a yearly. We need way more than a yearly lurker. Right? We get a decent amount of applications every day. They fill them out, and a good chunk of them go right through after me and the mods reviewed it and discussed it. And if for some reason it's lacking or there's something questionable, we just reach out. We'll just reach out. And so that's kind of what I'm saying. There are people in there. There's people in there that are searching for shit, that find a place there because they don't leave. They stay there. They're just they're in the shadows, just reading everything. Often doing the same kind of shit they've been doing forever, which many times doesn't allow them to think that anything they could type or put in there is worthwhile, or other people are saying things that trigger some of their own sensitivities, and so they decide not to participate and just watch. That inaction is the problem. It's like being, I don't know what you would call it. That's why I called it the Mobius strip of inaction, or the Mobius strip of doing nothing. Because it's always, why should I do anything? It's hopeless. Why should I do anything? It's hopeless, right? I felt that way for a lot of my life. I don't anymore. So, like, I guess it's doable or something? Like, I guess part of this, because whether it's it took 20 years, part of this is I want to make it so that it doesn't take 20 years. So that it'll take maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years. It's real bad. But, yeah, I know. I know about r/Schizoids, to tell you. You and your mods are a very good team. Thank you. But my point is, I want it to be a lot less time for other people that are much younger than me. That's why it's so important to me. I want them to figure this shit out when they're like in their mid-20s or early 20s. Not like when they're, like 38 like me. And then I'm 40 now. Like, I don't want them to figure this shit out this late. I got lucky when it comes to finding, I have a wife and kids. And I got fucking lucky with her. That I was able to actually establish connection. That took a long ass time. And she's like very, very aloof individual in a variety of ways emotionally. And that made me like feel comfortable with her long enough to actually one day go, I want kids. And then I had a kid. And then I know they're neurodivergent like myself in many ways, especially my oldest. And I am taking all this shit that I know confused me and made me feel alien as a child, and I'm flipping the fucking script on it and trying to be the best goddamn parent that I can with her. With all that stuff, making her feel like your dad gets it. And I know they feel like I get it. Or she does, my oldest does. I never had that. Also, like I said, I got really lucky that I was able to like find that one person and have kids that I care about, but I didn't care about anything else. That was the problem. I didn't care about anything else I did outside of that. Everything just felt so pointless and meaningless. People, just everything. I couldn't even connect to the people I'm hanging out with. I was hanging out with people for, shared interests. There's no connection there. I couldn't figure out how. It just didn't make sense. I did that shit for years. I tried all kinds of shit thinking, oh, this is the way. Oh, I'll finally figure it out. I don't want everybody to do that shit, man. Oh, kids are fucking great, man. Yeah, it's all about like working at their level, man. Simple as that. At some point, you just become so unrelatable, it feels hopeless. Yeah, I know that. So find people that are relatable. There's people that are relatable. Unless, like I said, you have some other issues. Like, you're like, man, I really think about, like, murdering people. Why can't anybody join me in this heartfelt interest? Like, if it's something crazy like that, like, well, good fucking luck, right? But if it's like, oh, I don't like all these strings that are attached to the concept of friendship and relationships and romance. My idea of romance or my idea of friendship looks like this, and that's such an impossible thing to have that I might as well give up on the idea of friendship entirely, because people like that don't exist. People like me don't exist. People that have those same needs and boundaries and are content with some of these things in a real way, not just in a weird coping. Oh, I'm just doing it to like cope. Bullshit way. A real way. Those people exist. They're real. I found mine. And I'm not just talking about like my wife and kids. That's its own separate deal, right? I found friends on this server, and it took me a long time because I had to figure this shit out. And they see me as a friend as well. And we still have similar understandings of boundaries, of respect, and shit like that. It's not an impossible thing to do. It really isn't. And what's interesting too is I think because of, I've talked about it constantly, that I think schizoids in general are going to be like either kind of more schizoid, or they're going to be autistic in a variety of ways. High functioning autistic, low needs autistic, whatever you want to call it. Right? Asperger's, as they used to say. You're going to find a lot of people there that are going to be a lot easier to work with as a Zoid. I'll guarantee you that. And then among other Zoids, even easier. And then once you like can crack some of those doors open with other people dealing with it, you could probably start cracking some of those doors open with people that aren't schizoid but are neurodivergent in a way that's similar to your own. And will you ever understand the average person and what motivates them? And will you ever want the things they want? I do not think so, and thank your lucky stars, in my opinion. I never want the things they want. I want the things I want. And I'm working toward getting those things. Well, then you might be a schizo, bro. It's usually one. We got ADHDers, we got fucking internally schizotypal, right? Like odd beliefs, macro associative thinking, referential loose associative style thinking. You know, it just depends, man. It just depends. And not, like I said, not every autist and not every schizo is built the same. You know, when you met one schizoid, you met one schizoid, and the rest. Yeah, dude, there's autists that I've talked to that I'm like, fuck, I can't stand this dude. He's annoying as shit. And then there's autists that I talk to that I'm like, dude, this is one of my greatest friends ever is an autist. So I'm just looking at it. So yeah, like, dude, what's really funny is that the Zoids that are autists, a lot of them have trouble with other autistic people because they chose a very different approach on how to deal with the world. A lot of them are really anxious and nervous. They have a lot of other types of ways to cope and deal with it, not like detachment and dissociation and intellectualizing things to navigate the world. That's more of a Zoidy thing. And so they'll meet other neurodivergent people that took a different route as to how to manage the world. And the way they manage it feels really like antithetical to like the very autonomy, preoccupied, mentally self-sufficient Zoid. You know. So yeah, it's like anybody. Like if you give me, and look, I'm just generalizing, I'm being goofy here. But if you throw like 10 autists at me, like high, you know, low needs, high functioning kind of autists, I'm probably gonna find like 2 or 3 in there that I'm like, I can vibe. I don't know about like do anything, just vibe and be like comfortable around and talk, you know, have an okay time. I'm gonna find them. Same thing with the schizos, man. But if you throw like 10 people that don't have anything like that at me, it's gonna be a way tougher time, way harder time, because there's so much you have to navigate with them. There's all these things that just don't fucking matter to me, and they don't have to matter to me. And I navigate them for like practical reasons. I don't want to be surrounded by people that I have to do a bunch of things I don't want to do for practical reasons all the time. That's like having a 24/7 job. Who the fuck wants that? I want people in my life that I could actually re-energize when I'm around, that don't drain the shit out of me. And I'm sorry, but if I recharge other people but they drain me, that's not something I want to keep fucking doing. I don't want to be just knowing what to say and knowing how to say it and you know like worrying about the way I said this thing, or worrying about like how often I've contacted them, worrying about like that I have to like respond in certain ways when they say certain things. That stuff's exhausting, man. But like, if you find people that feel the same way you do, you're gonna have a much easier time. And I guarantee you, even if they're not schizoid or have these same kind of adaptations, autists and schizos, they're both going to be on the same train when it comes to like not giving a fuck about a lot of these things that you don't give a fuck about. Now, the stuff they do give a fuck about, maybe it's not going to vibe with you, but they're more often than not going to be like, why? I don't understand why people care so much about these things. Like, they understand like why, like probably like because they did reading or had to figure it out to navigate it, but emotionally, like they just go like, I don't. It's not that rare. I guess I like those whose intentions don't view me as a resource. Yeah, but that's the thing. Most people view each other as social resources. And most people are okay with that because they're all looking for it. Right? Like, they're not being like pragmatic or just, I mean, they are sometimes, but it's not all cynical in their world. It's not like, I want to get what I want, I'm going to use other people. Like, you know, that's fucking paranoia shit. No, it's, I want these things intuitively that other people want, and so they have like a currency that they can interact with. It's only transactional. See, that's I've talked about this before. It doesn't feel transactional to them. It feels natural, intuitive, and emotionally fulfilling. To us, it feels transactional because they're things, it requires us doing all this shit we don't want to do. And it oftentimes requires us putting up with the fact that they don't give a shit about the stuff we do give a shit about, or would like more boundaries and respect regarding. Yeah, that's another issue I've noticed with Zoids, but that's a whole different other topic. They'll say the normie social world is transactional, and it's like, well, it's only transactional if the people involved that are doing it feel like it is. No. Nope. It's give and take. Yeah, I know. But when you give something to somebody and you don't expect to take, but they give anyway, it's very different. Knowing that they they're not actively interested in the prospect of give and take, that give and take like that is just not what they're okay with. And then they do the same. It just happens. Like, the things I do for the people I care about, like the friends I have, dude, I don't do any of it because, like, I expect shit from them. And they're the same way, and then we end up doing shit for each other anyway. The only thing I expect is, boundary respects and not, like, tying a bunch of obligations to me regarding themselves and their own needs. Yeah, like I don't do shit like if okay, for example, I have a friend that's like trying to do a project thing, and they told me, hey, I'm doing a project thing, what do you think of this or whatever, and I'm like giving feedback, and I'm like interested in the project itself. If I wasn't interested in the project and I said, this isn't really my cup of tea, I don't really have much feedback to give you on this one, I don't really know much about this kind of shit, you know what the reaction would be? The reaction would be, oh, that's fine. That makes sense. Like, why would I want your perspective if you're not even like, this is really something you know much about? Thank you for being honest. Cool. Did that harm our friendship? No. Strong as ever. Same thing. Like, I said something like, oh, hey, you need help with this? I'm down to help because I'm interested in the thing you're doing actually being successful, because I like the things that you're doing. And their response was like, but honestly, you're very busy. I don't, you're obviously a busy person, whatever. And I said, yeah, but I know you're not going to like hold me to like being on some kind of schedule or doing everything perfectly or whenever you want. So I don't care. I'll do it when I can, and you won't care either. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. It's not that complicated. Like, it's wild. Like, other people would be like, oh my God, what a weird and disconnected and unhealthy, toxic relationship you have with your friends. It's like, fuck you. Like, we're both content with this shit. And we get like, we're like, we feel less lonely on an existential level, especially. And we have a good time talking about our mutual special interests or just interests in general. And then, discussing each other's philosophical, ethical frameworks and what we agree, disagree on, and knowing that we can disagree and it won't turn into like a big clusterfuck. Knowing that like you and the other person are actually communicating in good faith to each other. That it isn't some fucking game. That it isn't some like weird, like, oh, I'm setting up for like an investment. I'm investing in you. Oh God, I hate that fucking idea. Investing in someone. Investing. I never liked the phrasing. It's just awful. But yes. Yes. You can make friends with people that don't view you as an investment. Anyway, guys. I just described it. I don't know what you want me to do. Arbitrary. Like, I just described it. Like, because the problem with when you say, oh, show me, oh my gosh. Show me an example of a non-transactional. I mean, you can call everything fucking transactional. Like everything. So it's like the point is moot. Who cares? Yeah, okay, there you go. So don't be in a normal relationship. Be in an abnormal one that feels honest and not manipulative to you. There you go. And that's possible. Anyway, I gotta go, guys. I'm getting a phone call about something. Peace out. And as usual, when day is dark, always remember happy day. Give me your fucking money. I'm on Patreon. I got PayPal. Everything fucking helps, guys. I gotta pay for shit. Shit's rough. You got $5? I'll gladly take it. If you can't afford it, then just fucking throw my shit on the Schizoid Reddit or wherever else to help me out. Whatever you want to do. Hit like, fucking sub, tell other Zoids about this shit. Send invites to other Zoids wherever else, to the server. Whatever, man. All that stuff. But yeah, I appreciate the help I do get. And I know times are tough right now, but to those that still do, fucking awesome. And I appreciate that. And I'll keep chugging along. I ain't stopping this train. I'll die before I stop it. Alright. And like I said, as usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.